Into the lake, the two youths wander. Hand in hand, they slowly begin to sink until they're consumed in darkness. Wait, no, that's not how that scene ends. It goes... white? I really think that in Carol's mind, this is all for Des. To her, she's still alive in her own personal dark world. We've seen the Knight target 3 people so far. Toriel, Undyne, and Asgore, who are all presumably shelter code holders. But why target them? Because they're the only people who could stop the fantasy. The only problem is that I think Chris, as her pawn, is starting to see through it. At some point they were on board, but I believe they're starting to think it's going too far. I think Carol is the one who interrupted the Goner Maker at the start of the game. Last time on the channel we talked about Carol, and today we're talking about basically everything else. Namely, Chris, Dark Worlds, Fate and the Prophecy, December Holiday, the Weird Route, and of course, the Soul and Determination itself. You got all that? It kind of sounds like a lot, but I promise I will do my best to string all of these ideas together into one coherent point. Despite being a part 2, this video is actually pretty standalone, so there's no need to catch up if you don't want to. Let's get into it! Oddly, the best place to start is with the Weird Route. I didn't just open this video with the lake scene as clickbait, it's kind of what started me on this path. I often hear people say that we, along with Chris and Noelle, are heading to a deeper, darker dark. I've seen this very scene described before as having the screen go dark, but I think the word they're looking for is blank, because it doesn't go dark, and that feels intentional. If we were seeing Chris drowning to death, you'd expect it to darken. If we were going to this darker dark, you'd expect it to darken. This is because we aren't going darker, we're going lighter, and this is extremely, extremely relevant. The characters of this world, the Lightners, live in the light world, the objective reality, if you will. If you go darker, you get a dark world, where darkners like Queen and Lancer live. This is a place more conceptual, where inanimate objects take on identities and personhood. You go darker again, you get Titans, which are even more conceptual than the darkners of the previous layer. Like Ralsei says, they're the very idea of fear. Every layer of darkness represents an abstraction of reality, and it's easy to say that they represent a layer of fiction as well. The light world would be the real world, and the dark worlds are all fiction, but Deltarune itself is fiction. So you take a step back, and you find a secret place, a lighter world, but that would be our world, right? It's the age-old meme of saying, why would Kara do this, when talking about your own in-game actions, but really, it's important to recognize yourself as a major character of both Undertale and Deltarune because you are one. You personally are a part of this experience, and the game itself is aware of this. Between the social media takeovers and the shady survey program install, every part of this is made to feel like you are connecting with another world, with yourself as a real existing being in it. I said we were going lighter in the Weird Route, though. Not darker, but why would we do that? Well, Weird Route is about our desperation for answers, our desperation to change things, and that's why we're sent up the nested realities, not down into the dark. Darkness is fantasy. You lose yourself in it, and drowning everything out won't change anything. You have to step out of the frame of the game, and into our world, specifically the code. Now, here's where I bring Carol back up. I can say she interrupted the Goner Maker all day long, but unless I can come up with a really good reason, it's pointless to discuss. In truth, though, I already have my reason, and if you're following the logic, then you can see where I'm going with this. If Weird Route is about our hunger for answers and our desire to change fate, then, well, the will to keep living. The resolve to change fate. Let's call this power determination. It's an interesting quote, to be sure. It's from Undertale's True Lab, and if you believe the theories about how only some of the entries were written by Alphys, then this logically would be a line from W.D. Gaster himself. W.D. Gaster is also most likely the voice we hear at the start of Deltarune, walking us through the vessel creation, which I believe Carol to interrupt. Determination is incredibly powerful. That's why it's such a focal part of Undertale, at least. His research was cutting edge. It specifically focused on determination and how one would go about harnessing it. It logically follows, then, that Deltarune's survey program is an extension of that. But here's the thing. He's not just researching human or, Lightner determination anymore. A part of it, I'm sure, but what if we had a different source? A different kind of determination? What if we looked a layer higher? Only one ending. A phrase that's reiterated quite frequently about Deltarune. Only one ending. Something that stumped me for a while is that despite the experiment going so wrong, what with the vessel getting discarded and all, Gaster still presses on. He keeps us connected, he checks in on us periodically. If he was such a great scientist, then why would he stand for such derailment? Because it's not derailed at all. I believe that the point of this specific experiment is to test the limits of determination. You present your subject with a world that can only ever go one way. This much is told up front. There is only one ending. The story will not change, but what if? If someone were determined enough, could you avert that destiny? Determined we are. There's actually 2 endings. No, there's 3. These are common ideas. Without even knowing what the ending is, we all want to believe there's more than one. We want to break free from these confines. We want to rip the beads off their track. We would do anything. We'd be kind, we'd be cruel, we'd try any combination of options. It doesn't matter if we're using our own vessel or if we're sharing a body with Chris, though. We're still brought into the world of Deltarune all the same. We still want to change it. We want to find our Deltarune. This is what I think Gaster is doing, because outside of occasional intermissions between chapters, he really only speaks to us directly when we reach an end. But always, he asks if we'd like to try again, to pick ourselves up, to keep going. He asks us this, and of course we say yes each time. This gets even more fascinating during Chapter 3 somehow. When you're fighting the knight, that voice comes back again to talk with you. Even with the Shadow Mantle, you're told how impossible the challenge you face is. But if you lose the battle after doing well, it compliments you. The voice is fascinated by this. Before you is an unconquerable foe, but you fight on. This is not a battle you were set to win. In fact, it's not possible to win. But when you come oh so close, you're met with praise. Incredible. I felt it there. Shining. Your power. A little further. Not to mention the very initial mention of determination in this encounter. Sadly, though, our power isn't enough to change this node. We can't beat the knight here. Maybe we don't have the power to change the world after all. And yet, at some point, something unexpected happens. Our power grows strong enough. We reach through as far as we can go. We spread our wings, and we make it through to another side. If I'm correct about going lighter, we break through these confines. We chew our leg out of the bear trap. I think wherever we're going is where we will have the power to change this world. With enough determination, ours, Chris's, Noelle's, we ascend and achieve the power to change fate. I don't know what happens to our Lightner friends here. I think it's possible that the 2 of them actually did go darker, to the most abstract layer of reality. Wherever they went, I don't think we're going with them, and whatever happened, I'm not sure it's good. Noelle was used up, Chris was used up. In the weird route, you sacrifice the 2 of them to go even higher, into an upper layer of reality, not a lower one. It's like how in Mario you can sacrifice a Yoshi to get extra jump height and... Oh, well, yeah, it is kind of interesting that there's already a reference to that in regards to Chris here. It's weird remembering I was supposed to be talking about Carol. I think you see now why I claim she could be Deltarune's most important character, though. Obviously, losing a child would be hard on Carol, and nothing is helped by the fact that Rudy is dying as well. This leads her to some extreme measures. We already know she's most likely involved in the Knight conspiracy, and more importantly, she seems to have knowledge of us. Not Chris, of course, but us, the people behind the screen. When she says you are welcome here anytime, it feels like it's directed right at us, not to mention her strange habit of collecting the heart-shaped pillows. But if, like I said, she did interrupt the Goner Maker, then she'd be very, very aware of us. She's the one who placed us here. As her last desperation, she resorts to this. With our determination, enough to change fate, she intercepts the experiment to use us for her own goals. If fate says that December holiday will never come home, that your family will never be all together again, then all you have to do is change that fate. If we're able to break into the code, or whatever in-universe version of it exists, we can do whatever we want. The ultimate freedom. The freedom to determine reality itself. Deltarune being a game, or at least structured like one, is obviously a central piece of the plot. The prophecy? Likely a reference to the writing of the game. It can't be subverted because it's already written. In a few different secret boss encounters, we see these little green strings. They're to mirror strings of code. Spamton is completely strung up by them, and trying to hack them away really doesn't do any good. He's fated to be this way. Pink is wired in too. She's only meant to suffer the pain she does due to the nature of the reality she's in. This is why the emphasis on freedom with a lot of these characters, because they can never be free. They will always be characters in a video game, yanked around by their code. I think learning this is ultimately what makes some of them go mad, right? It's seeing through reality and finding out that everything has already been decided for them. Your choices don't matter. Nobody can choose who they are in this world. But I understand that to say it was all fictional anyways is such a boring answer in a lot of cases. It's why it was all just a dream is so unsatisfying. It feels like it invalidates our experiences, our connection. But why does it have to? Does it matter if something was fake if it changes you? Ralze does not exist in the light world, and thus is not real, but when observed by the Lightners, Ralze is alive. In turn, the Lightners themselves glow with life when we bathe them in our light. Sure, maybe they aren't real, but it doesn't matter. This story, these characters, they're important to you. That is the part that matters, that they feel real. By playing Deltarune, you are filled with determination. You want the ending to change, but if you think about it, there really only can be one ending, and it's the same as every game. It ends. When the voice asks if you want to pick yourself back up and you refuse, it says that the world was covered in darkness. That isn't because you don't save the day and stop the roaring, it's because you give up. It's the light of your determination that casts the shadows we watch. Not Chris's, not anybody else's. Without it, the world goes dark. Thank you so much to anyone who's still here. I really don't like asking anyone to do anything, but please, if you made it through this video so far, I'd appreciate it a lot if you'd comment, share it with a friend, or even just hit like. I know this video isn't any longer than my other analysis videos, but trying to get everything written out here was an interesting headache. I couldn't get this to fit anywhere organically, but if Gaster is running the experiment to change the world, then that's why he's waiting for his Deltarune, right? It'd be his version, one created through our determination. The reason I'm so attached to these ideas is that it's basically one answer to a whole handful of questions. Who interrupted the Goner Maker? Carol. Why did this person do this? To change fate and save her family. Why didn't the voice stop the experiment after the vessel gets discarded? All we need is a vessel to live through. Changing fate was the whole point in the first place. What's the purpose of the weird route? If you go far enough, push hard enough, you reach an unexpected conclusion. For better or worse, you break the reality of the game. What is the meaning of Deltarune? It's that you are important. The most important feature of any game is the player. You give this world meaning, you give it light. Maybe none of it really is real, but you're what makes it matter. If a Lancer ho-ho-hos and no Lighteners are around to hear him, does he even make a sound? One more thing I'd like to clarify before I end this is that while I think Carol's win would be the weird route, obligatory disclaimer, I obviously don't think her plan is to feed 2 kids to the lake. She knows more than we think, but she didn't know that was gonna happen. Probably. Most likely. Also, I have to stress that I'm not sure if Deltarune is meant to literally be a game or if it's just meant to work like one, so grain of salt on that one, you know? I usually like to wrap up these videos with different art than the main video, but I think I want to stay here for today. This is the last of my prepared video ideas, so I'm really not sure what's going to come next here, but I can't wait to find out with you all. Take care and stay safe.